All right, YouTube, this Detroit's HPTV coming to you out of Detroit, back with another video. If you're a regular subscriber, you probably noticed I changed my background again. We need something more fierce because this election cycle and what's going on in this country is getting more fierce. But I have an interesting topic for you today. Let's start with this concept. If I wanted to destroy a beehive totally, I would have to find the queen bee. If I wanted to get rid of mice or any other rodents living in or around my property, I would have to find the nest. So, the black community, we went through a period in our culture where we felt like the black men were under attack and they were using certain policies that decimated the community of black men. Most went to prison, a lot got strung out on drugs. Uh, the black on black violence destroyed a lot of them, but it didn't work in curbing the population because black women still had children. They still bore children. They just, a lot of them bore children by the same man, which made half brothers more cousins and kind of made the community a little bit more closely netted because of the shared family basic biology. So we know that the destruction of a species always starts with the woman. Now, with the Democrats and black women advocate for the Democratic Party and are front line for the Democratic Party, even though the Democratic Party is out to destroy the community and never has any policies or laws that benefit black men and the black community. You think about this. When Dylan Roof went into that AME church, he targeted black women. When the shooter up near Buffalo went there and unalived 8 black women, he targeted black women. When you start seeing these church shootings and these different things, they're targeting black women because for some reason the Democratic Party has put the black woman on the front line and made her the face of civil discontent, but has not gave her any crime bill that protects her. Like you see the sister Sonia Massey that was unalived by the cop. It took a while before it even reached a level where Kamala Harris would respond to it. But black women was in an outrage that this type of violence is happening to them, with even with Sandra Bland. But my question is, what are you going to do with your outrage? You just mad for nothing because it's going to keep happening. Sad to say, there's somewhere some crazy person is in their mother's garage or their mother's basement writing a manifesto as we speak. Because the likes of Joy Reid and the likes of Whoopi Goldberg, they put their face out there and say the most outlandish things about conservatives and about men, as if women want to actually battle men. And I want to know, black women, do y'all want to battle the men in this country and then battle the men in other countries? Are you that drunk with power? Have you been bribed to the level that you actually think that in a true gender war, you could possibly win? So to stir the level of discontent without a crime bill, I think it jeopardized other women, not the Whoopi Goldberg types, not the Joy Reid. I'm quite sure they have a lot of security. But the average everyday woman that has to go to the grocery store or goes to an event with her children, is she any safer with these woke policies? I'm going to show you something at the Olympics. First, with the Olympics, they desecrated the Last Supper in a blasphemous scene. For what, I don't know. Maybe their attack on Christendom and their attack on religion has reached a fever pitch and they just don't care because they have too many woke individuals. But not only did they do that, they actually have, allegedly, trans women fighting regular women. Now, the Democrats, they say we're the party of women. We're the party for black women. But under the Democratic Party, black women are slaughtered. It was under Joe Biden that this guy went in there and unalived 8 black women in upper state New York. Still no crime bill. He gave the crime bill to the Asians, mind you. And over the years, you've seen black women lose their lives in some obscene ways, but still no crime bill or no protection from the very party they support. Do you think that's by accident? How many of you will be a part of a party that will not protect you but always use you on the front line? That seems weird to even do. But I'm going to end my commentary on there, just give you a little something to think about how the destruction of a minority always starts with the woman. So once you destroy her psychologically, she will self destruct and destroy herself physically because you have set her on this course. You have set her on this course of wokeness that now they actually want to fight men. Or you call them trans women in the ring. And this is what's going to happen in those instances. So I'm going to show you this clip from the Black conservative Greg. He did a story on the lady that fought the alleged trans man at the Olympics. Check out this story, and you tell me, are Democrats really about the safety and protection of women?
Is he watching any of the Olympics? Like, is he taking in anything? Like, my phone is blowing up. So, like, what is it's been great so far. The Olympics has been so great. Look, the president and the first lady are certainly proudly cheering on Team USA. As you saw, the first lady travel to. Bless you. Traveled to Paris to lead the delegation, the U.S. delegation for the opening ceremonies, and cheered on Team USA. And you saw her out there being very supportive. And so the president certainly is proud of all the athletes competing on behalf of the U.S., on behalf of our nation, and he's going to continue to cheer them on. Following up on that, did the president see the Last Supper controversy at the Olympics? Do you know? Did you see that? I don't have anything. I appreciate the question. I just don't have anything. Millions of Christians across the globe were offended by it. The president's Christian. I just answered your question. When the president.
Oh, and this is for fair use under the 1976 Copyright Act and the First Amendment. Continue.
I just answered your question. I don't have anything else to add.
Did you see it?
Thank you so much. I have a foreign policy question.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We got to talk about the woke Olympics, okay? Who has come under fire recently for allowing Christians to be mocked during the opening ceremony by trans and drag performers. And a lot of people are upset about this. A lot of people are essentially boycotting the Olympics because their wokeness is out of control, okay? And more evidence of proof of the wokeness being out of control is the fact that they're allowing biologically male boxers to compete against female boxers. And of course, the biological male is dominating the biological female in a boxing match. And that's exactly what happened at the Olympics. In fact, it happened in just 46 seconds following 2 punches, right? That's what happened in a fight between Italy's Angela Carini and her Algerian opponent, Amani Khalef. It took just 46 seconds, okay? So let's actually watch the video here, and hopefully the Olympics don't block my video, okay? This is fair use. I'm turning off the volume here, but the person in red is the biological male, Amani Khalef, and the person in blue is the female fighter. I only can show you guys just a little snippet here, okay, of kind of what happened. But as you can see, the person in red is the alleged male boxer, and boom, this person hits her in the face, and that's basically it. Right? That's basically it. Here's another angle. Look at that. Bam, right to the dome. Just a basic straight to the face. And then afterwards, she was in tears. In tears. Is this what we want to see? Is this the world that we want to live in? Because that's the world that we're going to live in if we continue to allow Democrats to have power and control. If you elect Kamala Harris, this is the real threat to women's rights. But for whatever reason, the left believes like they're the side that's fighting for women. You're not fighting for women if you support this. She got absolutely crushed. Her dreams got absolutely crushed. Imagine working hard your whole life to become an Olympic level boxer just to lose to a biological male who probably did not have to work nearly as hard. Just a straight up unfair competition. Unfair competition. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. So let's read about this. A boxer deemed a biological male today won against an Italian woman in one of the most controversial Olympic bouts ever. The fight between Italy's Angela Carini and her Algerian opponent Amani Khalef took just 46 seconds, with the Italian throwing her helmet onto the floor as the clash was abandoned, yelling, quote, "This is unjust." The 25-year-old refused the handshake and fell to the canvas, sobbing, having received just 2 punches from Khalef, who had been banned from a major boxing contest before the Olympics. So why the hell was this person allowed to compete in the Olympics? Right? It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Khalaf was thrown out of last year's World Championships after failing testosterone tests carried out to establish gender qualification. After the match was stopped, the referee raised Khalef's hand in the air, but a visibly furious Carini yanked her own hand away from the fight official and walked off. Ignoring the Algerian, the Italian fighter then plunged to her knees and burst into tears as she said she had never felt such strong blows in a contest before. Yeah, I mean, those punches hit differently because the physical attributes between men and women are different. I don't care how much these woke revolutionaries want to try to change biology.
And it's crazy that they act like they don't know that. Even psychologically, the more that women challenge men, the more hostile and aggressive men will become with them. Now you can look at the Simps, the Roland Martins, and the ilk of the Boule. They're not going to deal with the blowback from gender politics and the gender war in the community. The average everyday woman will. How do you expect to have a peaceful society where you have men and women of the same community so ideologically separated they are basically becoming enemies? If you look at social media, you'll see some of the negative things that are said by women to men and men to women. People look at these things, they form opinions, and sometimes they act out. So you tell me, how does the Democratic Party and their win with women attitude, how does that really protect women? How in this society will their policies protect women and be for the benefit of women when all they offer is abortion, transgenderism, open borders, where more men are coming across the border than women? It doesn't look like, to me, they're trying to protect women. It looks like they are trying to destroy and defame a certain group of women, a certain ethnic group of women, because they're on the front line against the world. You don't hear Chinese women or other Asian women out attacking their men, attacking manhood, attacking patriarchy. You only see black women doing it. The same women that they are directing abortion towards. Do you really think that the Democratic Party is your friend when the very womb you possess in your body is the biggest threat to their agenda? They don't want you having babies, and they will never let you get into a real position of power. If Kamala was to win, she would only be a puppet for some sinister and evil men in the background. You think about that.
But biology matters, and men happen to be stronger. They happen to have more power. Okay, we happen to be faster, have stronger bone density. All of these things go into a fight, a boxing match. So a biological woman coming into a match with a biological male is not going to have a chance. She's not going to have a chance. It's going to be very hard for her to win. So again, this is tragic. It really is. Speaking after the match, the heartbroken Italian said, "I'm used to suffering. I've never taken a punch like that. It's impossible to continue. I'm nobody to say it's illegal." I mean, it should be, right? To me, this is abuse, right? This is what they typically call it, right? They call it domestic abuse. Okay, when a man or a biological male hits a woman like that, that's what they call it. But when the person is, I guess, trans, I'm not entirely sure if this person is trans or this person is in one of those weird positions where they just happen to have male and female characteristics. I'm not entirely sure. But when it's a situation like this, they call it equal rights. Okay. This is what they call it. Okay. They call it equal rights. Now, again, I'm not entirely sure, how this is equal rights for women, but this is what they say. Quote, "I got into the ring to fight, but I didn't feel like it anymore. After the first minute, I started to feel."
And I have to ask this controversial question because over here on this channel, we get to the meat and bones of topics. Women, black women, do y'all really want to fight black men? Do you really want the Democratic Party to be your in between with black men? Think about, when they was giving you Section 8 and they was giving you benefits to separate and keep away from your men. Think about the level of domestic violence that came after that. If you look and do a study, more domestic violence happened without the men in the house because it made the men roam the society where the women stayed isolated in the homes with their children. Or if they had to work, nobody watched the children. And women became targets. They became targets because they had the jobs, they had the money, and they had the attitude, but they had no protection. The Democrats still offer black women no protection. But they put their faces out there. They got them saying all kind of crazy things. So I be asking like, black women, do y'all really want to fight men? I'm almost 60 years old, so this is not going to be the era that I grow up in. But this is the era I see coming. When I see the level of violence directed at black women, it has become equal. You see, this is equality. Black women are starting to see what it's like to be a black man. When you leave out your door, you have to keep that head on a swivel because anything can happen to you. But the Democrat is hiding it for you because he's making you so contentious with the world and so authoritative and so big mama-ish and Medea-ish that it's obnoxious, obscene, and it's going to make you less protected and it's going to make you more vulnerable because the hostility that will be directed at a lot of these women will be unable to be contained because you never know when someone's going to lash out. And yet they still offer no crime bill for you guys. It's almost like you don't care. Like you would rather, some of you seem like y'all would rather see the country destroyed just so you could say you had a opportunity to tell somebody else what to do to be in control or to have power. But to me, it's a trick. It's a trick. Anytime you let a woman go in there and box with a man just because he's a man in a dress, you think about where this woke society is taking you guys. It's a
strong
trick.
pain in my nose. I didn't give up, but a punch hurt too much. And so I said, enough. I'm leaving with my head held high. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to be ashamed of. There's really nothing to be ashamed of at all because, like, ultimately at the end of the day, like, you didn't have a chance. It wasn't fair competition. So, it is what it is. Okay, it is what it is. She said she did not walk away from the fight as a protest against her opponent's inclusion, but that was a decision for the Olympics to consider. She was taken away for medical assessment to examine the seriousness of her facial injuries, which included a bruised nose. Yeah, so let's talk a little bit more about the athlete that was disqualified during the 2023 World Championships for boxing, but was allowed to compete in the Olympics. Kalev was disqualified during the 2023 World Championship sanctioned by the International Boxing Association. The organization said Kalev and Taiwan's Lin Yuting failed to meet gender eligibility standards. IBA President Umar Kremlev explained the decision at the time, according to Russia's TASS news agency. Reuters reported at the time that Kalev tested positive for having high levels of testosterone. Quote, based on DNA tests, we identify a number of athletes who tried to trick their colleagues into posing as women. According to the results of the test, it was proved that they have XY chromosomes. Such athletes were excluded from competition, Kremlev said. Khalif and the Algerian Olympic Committee both denied the claims. The International Olympic Committee also cleared Khalif to compete in the games. Quote, everyone competing in the women's category is complying with the competition's eligibility rules. IOC spokesperson Mark Adams said they are women in their passports, and it's stated that in this case that they are female. Wow. Wow. I don't know, man. I kind of got questions, right? I kind of got questions. I'm not entirely sure. The COA called the claims baseless. COA strongly condemns the unethical targeting and maligning of our esteemed athlete, Amani Khalif, with baseless propaganda from certain foreign-made outlets, the committee said Wednesday via Reuters. Quote, such attacks on her personality and dignity are deeply unfair, especially as she prepares for the pinnacle of her career at the Olympics. The COA has taken all necessary measures to protect our champion. Well, here's the thing. This person is allegedly a biological male. Okay, they have XY chromosomes. So we need to see the paperwork, right? We need to see the paperwork to show exactly what this individual is in regards to their chromosomes. Okay, because allegedly, again, this person may not necessarily be trans, but they are intersex. Italy's ANSA quoted Rosario Coco, the president of GayNet Communications in Italy, as saying that he learned Khalif was intersex and not transgender. In contrast to the reports that have been circulating, the Algerian athlete Amani Khalif is not a trans woman, Coco told the news agency. From the information we have about her, she is an intersex person who has always socialized as a woman and has a sporting history in women's competitions. Yeah, but see, look, listen, here's the thing.
You see how they use double talk? They say she is always socialized as a woman. Either you are a woman or not. That's just like Joe Biden's claim to fame was putting Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown on there. And they asked Ketanji Brown, could she define a woman? And she couldn't define a woman. She didn't know what a woman was, a Supreme Court justice. So can you think about where this country is going? Does the left really protect women, or do they want to remove women and replace them with trans women who can't bear children and further the population control agenda that goes with the globalist elite ability to control who's having children? Does that seem far-fetched that they will replace childbearing women with trans women? They already gave you a new name, cisgender. gender. So you won't be able to get along with men. You will be boxed out, marginalized, the ones that aren't victims of crime, victims of hate crimes, because you have to realize that you will be experiencing a high number of hate crimes. That's a projection that they know is coming. You know, what does it look like when the government knows that a certain group will be the target of hate crimes, but then offer no protections to that same group? Allegedly, think about it. Think about who will be the target of dissatisfaction, anger. You know, y'all been going around this country, the liberals on the left, taunting conservatives, taunting them. And their responses have not been with a lot of vitriol. And you gotta be careful when people not meeting you word for word, because as I've learned in my getting older, that sometimes when somebody is not saying something back to you, that's because they are planning to do something to you. Think about that. It's ominous, I know.
Again, we need to know, does she have XX chromosomes or XY chromosomes? Or does she have something else going on? Because if this person has XY chromosomes, they should not be allowed to compete. Okay, that is what it should come down to. Does this person have XY chromosomes? If this person has XY chromosomes, as alleged, then I would throw them in the male category. Now, if there's something else going on there, then we should look into that. Okay. But regardless, this is an issue that's a huge issue. You're having women who are not only getting hurt, but they're having their whole lives ruined because they had to face unfair competition. They had to face somebody of the opposite sex. You guys remember the 17-year-old girl from North Carolina, Peyton McNabb, that was spiked in the face by a trans opponent? Well, she's paralyzed, right? She's paralyzed. She's been left paralyzed with brain damage.
I'm in on that note where you can see the woman who already battling a man has been paralyzed and given brain damage. And if you're a black woman and you are subscribed to this channel, would you please, just interested in, for me to know, do you feel safer in your community or in your life with this Democratic administration? Do you feel safer? Do you feel like the Biden administration will protect you or has given you protections? Because we don't even talk about the 8 women that were slayed in upstate New York not too long ago. And now we back to Sonia Massey, which we will forget in a few weeks. I don't know if you recognize, and nobody really wants to tell you because it's a touchy subject, you are becoming the face of civil unrest, the face of anger, the face of hostility. You know what I mean? They're calling you things like cat ladies, and you know what I mean? The more and more hostility that you attract to yourself, the more potentials there are for violence. And nobody's talking about that. Do you really think that the average black man in the community, black American or poor white man in America or poor Chinese man in America or any poor American cares about AKAs, the boule, the fraternities? Do you think that do you think the brothers in O Block care about the Roland Martins? They can't even reach the communities to get any type of message that's going to change or make our communities better because they're that disconnected. They're on the Democratic plantation. They are drowning in wokeness to where the reality of what's going on in the community doesn't even matter. Well, this is Friday morning, coming to you out of Detroit. just this little quick story. Tell me what you think about this story. Support Detroit's Black Thought and Action Collective. It's the nonprofit out of Detroit. Like I say, if you're a regular subscriber, I changed the background. We need to get something more fierce. As it gets fierce, we gonna adapt because these politics is getting stranger and stranger, and there's a lot of social engineering going on. So, as always, salute to all patriots. Like, share, and subscribe. And to keep your head on the swivel. Peace.